in just loving cleaning, we love our members, and we want to see our members. Part of the reason we do training classes at these events. We want y'all to be able to be financially successful and make the most money cleaning. You know, there's plenty of guys out there that are working for $25 an hour with pressure washers in the back of the truck. We want to be the guys. We want you to be the guys working for $150, $200 an hour with the pressure washer in the back of your truck. And it is very obtainable. I know there's lots of guys sitting around here in this thing right now, and they look just like you and me, and they've got businesses doing well in excess of $1 million a year in cleaning, which 6 years ago I didn't think that was possible, and I said that's absolute bullcrap. Nobody can ever do that. Yeah, they do, and a lot more people than you think are doing that. So, and I'm kind of getting sidetracked here, but again, the certifications are all just part of the education process to make you better than and different from your competition. That's why we recommend you get certified.
Anybody here at UAMCC certified? Does it matter? Doug?
Yes, sir.
Why does it matter?
Why does it matter? Why does certification matters? I'll be talking about that tomorrow at 1 o'clock in my class. Make sure that you are there.
Okay. Okay, guys, for all you guys that want the credit hours towards certification, okay, it's very simple. And then this video here, you can go back and look at it because it's live right now on our channel. So if you said, man, I didn't understand what Ron was saying, I'm confused, just go to the YouTube channel, re-listen to what I just told you, okay? This right here is a certification affidavit, okay? So what you need to do, and don't bother these guys during their instruction, because what has to happen is we're moving along towards the day. At the end of the circuit training before lunch, don't walk away from them. Make sure that you get their initial. So there's 2 instructors. Either one of them can put their initial on this card, and all that does is states that you completed that training. Is that very simple? Does somebody not understand that? Okay? Do not hand this card to me, Leilani, Doug, or anybody. Take a photo of this card front and back and make sure that you have it. You're going to need that photo in order to verify that what is on here is true. Everything's digital. Somebody just asked me, where's the agenda? It's online, okay? And you will need this, and if you say, hey, I handed that to Leilani and she lost it, now I'm up a creek, too bad, okay? What did I tell you to do? Take a picture front and back, keep it. You're going to need it in the certification process. This card really doesn't mean anything. At the very end tomorrow, we are going to collect them, but we're not going to be responsible if they're lost, okay? Because I've just told you that you need to take a picture front and back yourself, because you'll need that for verification. Now, not to be a jerk, if you did lose that or something happens, we will try to go back and look for it. But we do not file these. We don't keep these anywhere except in a box, okay? Because it just takes too much time. Our certifications are pretty much self-serve. You can go online. Anybody that's done the process, is it very painless?
It's very painless.
Okay? You go online, you post your credentials, you post your qualifications, and then they go ahead and move you on to the online testing, okay? It's that simple. Bang, you're certified. How much is certifications?
Free.
They're how much, Doug?
Free.
They're free. We're not trying to sell you anything here. Okay? Just like this education, it's driven by the National Association. No one's paid for any certifications. Oh, you forgot. Don't confuse these guys. Right?
But and let me talk about the certification. The wash water control. Jerry with Scirocco, one of the best classes you will ever take. And with the EPA and with various rules and regulations, that's one of the most powerful things you can have whenever you talk to somebody about doing a municipal garage or doing some flat work close to an area that it might be a watershed area, which we're all concerned about in Florida. To sit here and say,
Ray, let's just cut it. Let's just cut it right to them. Okay, so if you turn an RFP in with an environmental program and your competitor doesn't, what happens?
You get the job if they care, if they're a decent property company.
Because you put them on notice, and now there's a liability to hire who?
To hire
the other contractor.
Knows what
you hire the other contractor, something happens, guess who comes after them? The lawyers. Then they say, why didn't you hire Spray Wash? They had a complete program laid out for you. This wouldn't have happened. Now their liability just goes through the roof.
They were negligent.
It's negligent, that's right. It's called gross negligence.
Yep.
Okay? So we made it simpler for you.
Exactly.
And that's what's important about that stuff. Not scare tactics, guys. You really have to know what you're doing, because Mr. Doug Rucker, if you don't know what you're doing, it can cost you how much, Doug?
Thousands.
About 250?
About 250 and still counting.
Still counting. And it wasn't that Doug didn't do something right. He wasn't educated himself at the time to not know, to basically not know that they were wrong. Isn't that right, Doug?
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Okay, and that's one of the things. It's a lot simpler than what you guys think it is, and you need to go through it. And I think what you're talking about, I think what Ray's talking about paying, we have a lot of third-party people. The UMCEC technically doesn't do any training. There's a lot of groups that do training, and if you don't feel that you can pass the test, I think what Ray's talking about is you take a class from somebody.
No, in
you
my
might pay
certification,
for it.
I paid for Jerry's class separately.
Correct.
That's when it was
That's
not a
right. Yeah,
UAMCC.
Right. It's not. And if you go out and seek something, take OSHA training to pass safety or something like that, that's not us. But we accept all that training. Any type of training, any type of certificates that you can provide that shows the hours of training, it's basically simply just this card here being replaced. So if you have other forms of training, our certification committee will look at those and they might accept those. You may not even want to fill out this card today, because if you took a 15-hour OSHA training course and you've got a certificate that says it's 15 hours, you can use that as your affidavit for your credit hours. It's that simple, okay? Guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a stack on one side here and the other side there. When you get your card, make sure that you go to your stations, okay? And remember, don't bother these instructors now. Get them afterwards. Don't lose this thing. I don't want to find these things laying around after the show. You need to keep them in your possession. If you decide that you're not going to do it, throw it away, because we'll find it on the floor and then we'll waste a bunch of resources trying to get it back to you, because we felt it's important. So make sure you get rid of it if you don't want it, okay? Only take one is all you need, guys. Hey, Mario, how you doing? Good to see you, man. How long you been here? Super. You missed the photo. Now what are we going to do? I do.
Okay, good job. Lonnie, I had to run out here.
Hey guys, back to the stations. Let's do it. We got to rush through this next one. Then we're going to lunch. Then we come back for the last station. Hey instructors, the clock's ticking.
Hey, can you sign this? Which one's 2? Over here and over there.
Station number 2 is that one way over there, way far one.
3 goes to where?
4.
4.
No, 4 is right here. That was 1.
This is number 3 over there.
I'm going to go through them with you.
Oh, okay.
1.
Yeah, I know.
1, 2, 3, 4. Got it? Sorry. 3, 4. Thanks, Corey.
This building today, we start from this corner and then we would go all the way down to the far end of that building. One of the first things as we're looking at a building like this to clean it is, number one, I want to look at the plant. I want to see if there's any plant issues. I see we've got some up here over right next to the building, so I want to determine what type they are. Is it a delicate plant? Is it a hardy plant? Am I going to have to cover it? I know above all else I'm going to have to keep it wet, but there's some things I need to, depending on the structure of the plant, some other precautions that I may need to take. If we're cleaning the roof, we know it's going to drip down on it. But we've got a little piece of plant right here in this bush that's dead. So one of the things that I would want to do there is make sure I take a picture of that bush, but I want to take a picture of it with something that's on the building that's dirty, showing it was dead or it had that dead material in it before we started cleaning. Okay, so I don't want to just take a picture of that, because they can say was that way before. Get the curb in it. If you're cleaning the curb, that's a good thing to have in it to show after when it was cleaned. Okay. If it's that bush over there, then maybe this wall or that wall or something they're going to be able to tell.
And the same goes with your digital. You know, digital film is free, except for the data that's going to cost you. Document. You know, your plants, any damage you see in the building, pre-existing problems on the building. Take lots of pictures. They will. You never know whenever that will come back and just save you. Take pictures of your safety procedures that you've done. Any tape lines, cones. Anything that you do, snap a picture of it. It's nice to have. You know, if somebody claims a slip and fall, you've then got the defense of, well, how could they have slipped and fall if they were inside? You know, if they were outside of my safety perimeter that I have set up. Pictures of your workers. How many people did you have on there? Because if you go into court, you're a lot better off to have, you know, photo evidence versus, well, I think I had 5 guys there.
Now, when we start to look at a building like this to clean, what I do is I kind of visualize the process of how we're going to set up the things. I run through my mind the things that we're going to need. If I'm starting at this corner, I see we've got a little indentation there. I can tell on all of this right here that I can clean all of this from the ground. As long as I'm cleaning mold, mildew, algae. If there's rust stains on there, depending on where they're at, things of that nature, then that might then rust stains or other type of specialty stains may require a ladder or using a different pump or whatever, but that's going to give me an idea as I look at this job and visualize if we've got to get up and clean this large portion of that sticks out of the tile roof. I can see that I'm going to need a extension ladder to get on that tile, walk up onto the flat area roof, and then I can spray all of that and clean it from that flat portion of the roof. Same thing here. Then when we get down to the hotel area where we've got balconies, then we just look at the balconies, figure out how our hose management is going to work best. Is it going to require 2 people? Is it going to require 3 people? We just kind of run the whole thing and look at different ways to clean those sections in order to determine a system and a process that's going to be most productive for you while you're out here, getting it done in the fastest amount of time while not suffering the quality of the work. The entryway to the hotel, we want to figure out a time where there's going to be limited traffic coming in and out, extra personnel stationed there, umbrellas. If somebody does have to come out, we have an umbrella that we can walk them out so that bleach or whatever doesn't drop on them. We try to find different exits that we can send them to. It's not going to send them, 50 miles out of the way.
One of the biggest mistakes people do make whenever they're dealing with commercial properties like this is being understaffed. Apartment communities, things with multiple entrances and exits out here, it's just good to have extra labor. Even if you're paying somebody, what you think is just standing around, if they're blocking a door for you, because people will ignore signs, people will walk through tape lines, it's just good to have somebody out here in the bright yellow shirt or orange vest that's a roaming guy that's making sure people don't walk anywhere. And hey, if that guy isn't even used that day, bonus day. You know what? He got a paycheck and didn't have to stop anybody, and y'all didn't get bleach on anybody. But yeah, jobs like this show up with enough people to effectively do the job, I'd say. Part of the rhythm of the property. Every property has its own little bit of a rhythm. An extended stay type hotel, people that are typically staying there are going to be either executives or construction or some type of labor that's there for a job. They're not there on vacation. They'll be out of that hotel by 8:30, 9 o'clock max. They will be converging back on it between 4:30 to 5 o'clock. So, try not to even be set up to roll at 9 o'clock. As soon as the guests get out of there, start working. Then by 4:30, be wrapped up and in the truck, headed back, so you don't have anybody tripping over hoses. Resort properties like this are a little bit different. Hence, more people out here to help maintain safety, because somebody's going to go to Disney and the 4-year-old's going to pitch a fit, so let's go back to the hotel room and bring him here. You have no idea what time. There is going to be no natural ebb and flow of guests at a place like this. There's a lot of office buildings that you can, if it's not a public type office, like where everybody kind of goes in there and works, we've had success washing a lot of those during the week because we know that they're going to come in, they're going to be in the office by 9 o'clock. We can start, nobody will be walking around out on that campus outside until 11:30, about lunchtime. We'll then knock off for a long lunch, come back at 1 o'clock after everybody's back for the most part and start proceeding again. Maybe do the public areas, the entrances and the exits, come back on a weekend or in an evening if it's in the summertime.
And always have alternate plans for things that you plan for that are not going to happen. For instance, you work with the hotel to have all these cars move from away from the building. You get over there to start doing that section, there's 2 cars parked there. You can't find the owners, can't get them moved, so you've got big tarps, bricks. He uses plastic, rolls of plastic, whatever. We use tarps, big blue tarps, and just use bricks or little concrete blocks to hold them down while we're cleaning in that area. And then we rinse the tarp off when we're done, pull it off. So always remember that not every plan that you have is going to come out perfect, so have that backup plan. Even though you've got a notice on doors, say it's an apartment complex, to have all these cars moved, it's not going to happen. So have alternate plans, to try to get a hold of people or tarps or whatever so that you continue on working. Those little things will slow you down a little bit, but it's not going to be the end all of the project. Okay.
Another thing, whenever you tarp a car off, take a picture of it, just in case anybody ever comes back and you say, well, you messed up my paint job, or no, I tarped your car. Here's photo proof that we did that.
So let's talk a little bit about spray. It's right. Where's the end? You will hear most often taught that you spray from the bottom to the top. The reason that is taught is because this is just water. If you start spraying up here, start getting these little runs that run down. The first thing to evaporate out of those little runs is the water, which makes your bleach stronger and stronger. Okay? There are certain paints, there are certain surfaces that can actually flash burn into that surface with that paint. So that's why we always preach. Now there are certain projects and jobs like big hotels, Ray will tell you about that why they have to start at the top and end up down at the bottom.
Right. Well, and as you're doing the larger stuff, it just makes sense. You're very tough to try to go up. I mean, if you're going up 8 stories, it just makes a lot more sense to go down because you've got gravity really helping to clean in front of you. I mean, you go up and spray the 8th floor and then the 7th floor, and then all of a sudden with the accumulation of that chemical, you realize the 6th floor is already clean, so you're dropping down and just hitting a couple of spots, and then the 5th floor stuff's running down, and you're spraying a lot lighter using a lot less mix. Because if you were to start on multiple stories like that, going from the bottom going up, you'd be using 2 to 3 times as much chemical as you would starting from the top. But as Doug said, one of the main reasons you want to stop this is to stop the uneven drip downs on there. As your spraying techniques get better, as you got a great guy, on the wand there, they can really just even. I mean, it's just like an expert painter. I mean, they're just smooth, even stripes, and you'll barely even have any rundowns on there. But it's just a good practice whenever you're starting out to go that top to bottom until you get your technique perfected.
This nozzle here that we're using is the M5 X-Jet adjustable. Everyone's heard of that. We love these. We use them every day. You can actually twist it and go to a fan. It goes down back down to a shooter tip. See, it sprays easily higher than the 3 stories. This is the most often nozzle that we use we're cleaning. Other type nozzles are, they're called J-rods, I call them a 4-banger. But you've got your shooter tip here. And then to actually take it out, switch it over to your fan tip. This is a very small nozzle. So you would actually just switch them versus dialing this.
The nice thing about this is with these, you've got great tips for roofs on. You can have your roof tip, your siding tip, and then 2 different sizes orifices for straight tips on here. So you've got really a multiple of patterns you can shoot on it. Did we do plant protection yet? No. All right, plants. We started out there and we're talking about photographing the plants. Whenever we're doing this whole soft washing thing and getting more chemical intensive, one of the most important things we want to talk about is plant protection. Plants, obviously very regional, what's popular here and there. We want to identify, are there any potential plants on this property that are completely bleach intolerant, and how are we going to avoid getting bleach on them? In my neck of the woods, Tallahassee, we have a lot of boxwoods. Boxwoods hate bleach. Nandina hates bleach. Japanese maples, they hate bleach. Some of the Japanese maples can be $10,000, $15,000 too. Really, really expensive trees on some of the estates that we clean. The best theory is wet plants don't drink. So if you can come in and wet your landscaping down, and I don't mean wet it down, I mean flood your landscaping. Make those plants just, I'm full, I can't handle another drop, I'm good. The way people kill a lot of plants is coming out, and I'll just, in the middle of a hot, dry summer day, or middle of a drought, and they start spraying, and they put a little bit of water on the plant. Well, the plant's still thirsty, and so the plant's now actively drinking. We start spraying bleach, the plant's still thirsty, so it starts sucking in the bleach into its leaves. You're introducing bleach into that system. So best practice on that is to just keep your plants as wet as possible before you ever spray. And then necessarily you could keep your plants wet, moist during the spraying process, and then at the end you're going to water them again, and at the end your watering is a little bit different. You're actually going to be actively trying to shoot you're not watering, trying to fan tip your plants at the end. You're actually trying to knock off any soap and bleach that are stuck to those leaves. So you're going to be, well, it's not on. Oh, okay. So you're actually trying to pound that stuff off of those plants to knock the soap off. The better soap you're using, the better stick of a soap, which is fantastic, some of the advancements we've had on there, but just as it sticks to the building, it's sticking to the plants too. So we want to try to get it off of the plants. Wet plants don't drink.
Yeah, just make sure you get those roots wet and soaked really good. If this line of shrubs were up against the house or the building, I'd stand right here and I'd just get these roots on that one all wet, go to the next one. And stand there for a minute or two and get them really good and flooded. Once they drink all the water they can drink, they're not going to drink anything else. And then, like you were saying, keep the foliage wet and diluted as it's hitting it. One of the questions that was asked earlier is about how much soap, and Ray just alluded to that. If you've got a tile roof like this over here, or a metal roof, and it's going to drip and run off right down onto plants, we'll back off on our soap a bit. We won't go for the stick on the roof as much, because that same soap is going to help it stick to the plants. So keep that in mind. Just lost my train of thought. Metal roofs, I don't ever use any soap in a metal roofs. I'm either downstreaming them if I can, but always make sure you rinse, and rinse a lot more on a metal roof. Get it good and rinsed.
No soap though.
I don't use soap on metal roofs.
I do, but
It just takes longer to rinse to me.
But you're gonna rinse.
Yeah, I'm still gonna rinse.
you're gonna rinse. You're gonna rinse. So that's and Doug and I, neither one of us rinses our shingle, tile or TPO or membrane roofs. But metal, you do need to rinse because, I mean, you are spraying a caustic up there. Metal reacts with caustic, and you just do not want. The other thing about a metal too, metal can get so hot that it will flash fry your chemical on the metal, and you can change color on the metal. Also, I would say that metal roofs are probably real important to get on there, look at Streamline, look at Galvalume, some of the manufacturers, and look at their manufacturer specifications for cleaning the roofs, because they are very technical about how much bleach you can put on a metal roof. And we have seen metal panels burnt, the colors just shot out of it, them instantly oxidized, because the previous cleaning company, their thought is 50%. You know, everything gets sprayed at half and half. You spray half and half on a metal roof, you probably replace some roof panels. It will literally fry onto it, and you can't get it off, except for
The thing about metal roofs is you get that electrostatic cling to it
charge.
too.
Yeah, the charge. You know.
So you have to rinse, because otherwise it'll just sit there and it
Stay.
doesn't come off. So
You know, we had one not too long. I'm glad you brought that up, Corey. We had one the other day that it was absolutely crazy. We wound up having to brush that hole because of that charge. We had to brush that whole roof, and it was nuts. It was a steep pitch thing, and in my mind, it was, you know, we had a lift out there, and we're gonna spray this thing from the lift, and that didn't work. So I brought out the water broom, you know, the 4 nozzle pressure washer. We're gonna rinse that off. Did not happen. You back off with just a pressure washer and get on there, and it's like, okay, I think that's going. And every time as it dries out, you notice streaking. And it was just crazy, but a soft brush, just a light touch on that, broke that electrostatic charge, and the stuff came right off.
Was it oxidized?
No, it was just an electrostatic charge on there.
Kind of like if you're familiar with fleets, you get some of that dirt and bond. It bonds to it. It doesn't come off until you use that brush. You can two-step all you want, it's not coming off. But as soon as you touch it with the brush, it goes off.
You can literally even, yeah, I mean, I've seen it on you know, building sides too, and it's real bad with like where you get smog and road grime and that kind of thing, and you can be sitting there just blasting it with a pressure washer and nothing's coming off. But then once you put, you know, a butyl and some soap on there, a little detergent, and just the lightest scrub in the world, and it just melts right off. It's kind of crazy how that charge. You know, it's just another tool in your arsenal to have. In fact, Andy Henson out of Tuscaloosa came down and spent a few days with me, and you know, one of the biggest pieces of advice that he gave me is just how much more productive you can have with just a brush man. You know, have the one guy sitting there knocking out those dirt daubers up there, instead of the guy that's actually rinsing, you know, right after it gets soaked and applied, and whoever's applying the soap might shoot a little more soap at that dirt dauber. Then your third guy or your safety guy, whoever's, you know, can spare a moment, he comes around, hits it with a pole with a brush on the end of it, knocks down those dirt daubers. That way, whenever the rinse guy comes in there, he just rinses it off. He's not sitting there, you know, spraying, it's not coming off, it's not coming off, it's not coming off, it's not coming off. All right, let me stop, put this down, let me go get my brush, start doing that, and then he has to catch, you know, figure back out, and he sprays a little bit more. So the teamwork is just having the guys just working in an orchestrated type thing, and everybody having their assigned duties can really save you a lot of time in the end on that.
Another thing we want to go over is testing the paint, doing a paint test. Look out for colors that look across the street. You see that shopping center.
Oh yeah, that rust color on
See
that?
that rust color, that green color. Things of those type of colors.
Blues.
Yeah, those types of colors, blues. I call them pastel type colors, or mauves and pinks and browns and all that kind of stuff. You want to do a paint test on them. Spray your bleach on a little inconspicuous area and make sure it's not going to change the color of it. There are many cases where that has happened. Happened to me once on a tile roof job, but fortunately they were painting the house with it as soon as we got done with it.
And the reason for it is they use organic dyes to make that paint. So anything organic, chlorine's going to attack. So it's going to attack that paint. It'll change the color, spot it, streak it, everything.
Especially elastomerics here in Florida.
Yep. And you know, also our paints in Florida tend to take a beating too, and people aren't necessarily as skippy on their maintenance as they should be. But look at the top of the Pizza Hut roof. You can see a lot of fade streaks on there. Some of that's oxidation from that metal cap that's coming on it. Some of it's actual paint oxidation. And whenever you get done washing that, this is part of staging the expectations with the consumer on there. That top area may actually look worse than whenever you started cleaning it, because you could get rid of the black streaks, but now the paint's starting to fade and you've knocked part of the oxidation off the paint that's kind of stuck up there now that they don't see it. And if that's the case, you know, you're telling the people how long you're asking. How long has it been since this property has been painted? You know, you get them on record of saying, you know, we're here to kill mildew. We're here to make it look beautiful. But if the product that I'm actually washing is shot, it's shot. I mean, that's just a matter of time on there. And there's very few paints that are going to last more than 10 years, really 7 years in a Florida sun.
Any questions so far?
We just had somebody at the last group, they were talking about a mall that he had done, and it had tile roofs like that. And whenever he cleaned the soffit and the fascia, you had the tiger striping coming down from the, and I would guess it was probably a road grime that had washed down and needs has binded with the metal on the fascia on there. And it was actually worse, you know, after they got done washing the hotel, or washing the mall, you notice that more because now the soffit's bright white and shiny and those black streaks stick out like you've never seen them before. And you know, having to set those expectations with the customer of you know, what we're doing is you know, because that's an oxidation type issue that's now bound in. I can, you know, hit it with a pressure washer until the paint comes off, and those black streaks aren't going to come off necessarily.
Yeah, and you want to make sure too that you're looking out for electronics, any type of electrical outlets, electric door openers,
Fire systems.
all of that stuff. Make sure your
panel boxes, meters. I mean, meters should be waterproof. Meters are not always waterproof. I took one 480 amp service and blew it sky high about 5 years ago. We were watching the Florida archives, and they've got like documents dating back from Ponce de Leon coming to Florida in there, and it has to be like temperature controlled in a very, very specific range. And I'm telling you, I mean, it was lucky it did not really hurt one of my guys, but whenever that panel box blew, it knocked him on the ground. It took a box and it turned a rectangular box into an oval with the force of the concussion that came out of there. We weren't even spraying the box. We were spraying 3 stories above the box, and the soapy water got down in the back side of it. And we found holes on there where the caulking had kind of, they hadn't necessarily maintained it all that well. Caulking had gotten bad over the years, and you know, surfactants make water slippery. It'll actually make your water wetter, a good surfactant. So that water ran down where regular rainwater would not run. It bridged an arc in, it bridged a gap in there, made an arc, and it blew it. It was an absolutely, you know, horrible situation. We wound up having no liability in the situation because, you know, City of Tallahassee came out and they were, of course, pointing fingers and saying, you know, you put your pressure washer on the box and shot water up in there. And, you know, luckily I was on the rig that didn't even have a pressure washer on it. All I had was my booster pump. And I'm like, sir, show me where the pressure washer is. I do not have a pressure washer. I said, and look at this building. I said, this lower half is dirty. This top half is clean. I was spraying up there. It ran down. And after a couple supervisors and several photos and a day full of conversations, they realized that, yeah, you know, we did not spray into the panel box. It ran down the back side of the panel box, and it was just a ticking time bomb before it happened. So we also, one of the things we carry in our trucks now is a tube of fast-drying caulk. In case we ever see a panel box that just might be a little bit problematic. You know, first off, we try not to spray a lot around those. Really, that's a great place to brush and hand wipe if you can. But if we're going to have to, we've been known to run a bead or two of caulk around that and try to seal that up some.
The importance of having your water flow so you don't run out as you chemically sprayed everything down and then you go to rinse and water will
Yeah, that's an idea. Make sure your water supplies are good. Corey's just saying, make sure you get, you go out there and you spray something, and then all of a sudden you realize that you're out of water.
We've showed up to job sites with a 535 gallon tank of water, hook up the water, think it's flowing through, go ahead and spray the building down with chemical, and then realize there's no water flow coming out of the side of the building, so now we got chemical on the side of the building.
Yeah.
It's running around trying to figure out where to get water from.
No, and I'm glad you said that. It's one of the things that I try to do whenever I go out and do my physical estimates is, because I can't tell you how many, I mean, I'm dumb. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. And I got burnt by it 100 times until I finally, I'm doing a place like this. I mark out every water spigot. I have an idea where every water is, and do they work? Just because you see a water spigot does not mean a water spigot is active, especially on a 30-year-old hotel like this. I mean, we actually had a little water issue earlier today, and I mean, you should see the way the pipe looks back there. There must be, 6 different pigtails coming off of this thing where, it was never built like that to start with. But just because there's a spigot there does not mean it's active. Just because there's landscape sprinklers does not mean that thing's been, this landscape hadn't been turned on in a while, probably. So have a plan for getting water. Sometimes the plan might be 500 extra feet of hose. It might be a hydrant meter. But always have that plan and a backup plan.
Any other questions? Tom, got any questions?
What I'm going to tell people is if you see a job that's too big for you, do not be afraid to pass it up to someone that has the experience on it, and don't be greedy trying to think you're going to make a home run. Bigger operations have a little more overhead, but the experience you give your customer is something amazing, and you've done the right thing by everybody. It's I have, and we rent our tanker trailers out to power washing companies. So look around. From United Rentals have that little tanker truck you can buy.
Yeah, the 500 gallon.
Tanker. I can rent one of those for so water is a big issue, especially when you're doing a building. But once again, if you see something that's out of your scope of work, do not be afraid to call somebody within the UAMCC and have them pass on the work.
Or even job sharing too. A lot of people.
Like I say, most guys that are in the UMACC are here to help other people out. So if you say, hey, I can't handle this job, but I'd like to go on the job site and work with you guys, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to say, yeah, come along, we'll show you how we do things.
Right.
And then as you progress, you can...
Or just go on Facebook and ask, how would you price it?
How do I wash this? Those two marks.
That was a joke. Any other questions? Building washings, any safety related? I don't know if you guys know, but Raymond heads up our safety committee on the UAMCC. So if you have any questions about safety or anything like that, he's the man.
Who's the man?
You.
Oh, you were the man.
For setting up.
No, you're the man.
I was the man. I'm no longer the man.
If you were ISIS, you'd say you're the bomb.
No questions?
That's a compliment here. That's actually in a workplace argument in most Muslim countries.
That's it, yeah.
You're the bomb. No, you're the bomb.
Good job, guys. Round of applause for the instructors. All right.
See what I need? You want us to sign cards? We're not supposed to discharge y'all until we get the. I got a pen.
Here you go, Ray. Here's a pen.
Yeah.
Doug.
Steve, yeah.
I'm stealing your pen.
Now Ray will sign all.
Hey guys, this is Pat Clark, obviously from Precision Pro Wash in South Carolina. What area are you from again, Pat? I always forget. Greenville. Pat Clark's been a member of the UMCC how long, Pat?
Man, was it 2008? 2008, so what?
2008?
Yeah.
In 2011, you came to the Charleston convention, right? The one we just had last year. You came there. Can you just, in 30 seconds, where were you at then compared to where you're at now?
In 2011?
Yes. Let these guys know.
2011, I wasn't really doing that much business. I only had, one crew on the road, basically in 2011. Didn't really have the systems in place and stuff. And now I mean, we have 5 service trucks, we have 5 sales trucks, and we're adding another truck this year. So we've grown 300 plus since 2011.
Are you at the $1 million mark yet?
Just about.
Just about. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey guys, give Pat Clark a round of applause.
Thank you for having me. All right, we're going to jump into a little bit of employees, getting the most out of your employees, kind of things that I learned in the last couple of years that I just want to share with you guys. Hopefully that get you guys over those obstacles in business. Small business is the backbone of America. 52% of the nation's workforce. So just being in business, guys, is 52%. That's pretty awesome. But we're building something bigger than ourselves. We're building opportunity. And we're building families within our companies. And we're building industry. And we're bringing hope to our communities, you know, creating jobs for people in our communities. Just a little bit about us. I started in 2006. I was cleaning cars. I was doing auto detailing. And then my customers were like, hey, can you pressure wash my house? So that's kind of how I started in this. My first year I only did $50,000 gross. So what does that mean for me? I took home like $15,000 that year. Eating rice and beans, man. Winters were tough, you know. So in 2008, that's when we went to the Myrtle Beach Roundtable. I'll never forget. I was in the back, and somebody was like, hey, you spray this stuff on your roof and it disappears. And I was like, there's no way. There's just no way. So it's just crazy. So I started 2 full-time guys. This was back, you know, right around 2011, 2012. And I was running it out of my apartment complex. And I'm not going to lie, I had my office in my walk-in closet. So there's a little joke. I came out of the closet, you know. So, but now I got 4 beautiful kids. I started when Logan, my oldest, was born. I was like, I had to do something. I had to provide for my family. So, but I was stuck. I was in 2009. I was just broke, man. I was like, man, what is going on? I'm washing houses, but I'm not getting over that hump. And I was like, what can I do? I'm just stuck in this owner-operator rut. And I was stuck at $85,000 a year. And I was like, I got to get over this. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Well, I got a job offer through the railroad, and they were like, well, you can come work for the railroad because my brother-in-law, he's like an engineer for the railroad. He's like, you need to come work. It starts off at $25 an hour. And at that time, that's like awesome, you know what I mean? But I kept getting these things, this Winston Churchill quote, never, never give up. And I get this little plaque that my mom gave me, and people were just telling me, you know, never, never give up. Don't give up. Because if you stick this out, it's very profitable. And I can, you know, last year was the best year of my life. It was just awesome. And obviously it took time, but I stuck it in. I stuck it out in 2010. That's where I met my coaches. I came to a roundtable in Tampa, and that's kind of where I met coaches, guys that just helped me out in the industry. A lot of you guys in the back there, I mean, just your advice, helping me out over the years, just kind of encouraged me to you know, get over that hump. So how I did it. I built a team around me. I basically got people that were better than me. I hired, you know, always hire up kind of thing. And I got some coaches that kind of mentored me, gave me good advice. And then I got some staff in my company, and I got players. And then obviously AC was a big part of it in 2010, helping me build systems in my company. But coaches are a necessary part of managing a team. There are no self-made champions out there. You see football players, they have a really good coach, right? Those teams and stuff. Same thing in our business. Like as entrepreneurs, we get, you know, get a lot of weight on our shoulders, and we're like, man, or, you know, got to struggle through that. But you need people that can reassure you, lift you up. Especially me, I'm a young guy, so I got people that look down at me. They're like, you know, well, you can't do that, you know, that kind of stuff. But I had people that, you know, had faith in me. And then staff. So staff take care of the everyday function of a team, so the coaches and the team captains can lead. So as I got staff in my company, I was able to sit back and say, oh, I need to improve here and there and that kind of stuff. And that really helped me out. And then staff supports the skilled players in the organization. So if you got like you know, your office manager or something like that, those people do the little things so that person could do the bigger, more important things. And then you got your players. And these are just some of the guys that are in my company here. I got sales reps and technicians in here. And then we have wall headers on there, so everybody's got like a picture, you know, that kind of stuff. So these are just some of our lead techs. but players put points on the board for the team. And we have in our warehouse, we got this big thing, it's called the Wall of Fame / Shame, and we put on there, we actually race the trucks $1 per hour. So when they get to a job site, they got to clock in and clock out, and we take that time in and out, and then we'll basically see what it was, take the job total times what their time was on the job, and we race, and we have, you know, competitions and stuff like that. But there's, players consist of two groups in the service business. You have your sales and your service side. In my first 3 hires, these were my most important first 3 hires. But what you want to do is you want to promote yourself out of a job. So you want to get that great assistant tech and then get that great lead tech. And then what I did was I hired an office lady, and that was huge for me, just answering the phones constantly. And I think we grew 20% by just putting an office lady in the office. And that basically freed me up. So mostly I was just doing all the sales at that point, but that freed me up to go do that and get more business. And then who are we selling to? We were constantly selling our business to 2 groups: potential customers and potential employees. I would say 3 out of the 5 sales reps that I have, I stole from other companies. They would come, pest control companies, they would come and they would service our office, and like, man, what do you got going on? They would look at our office. We got, you know, the 40-inch TVs and stuff like that. Like, what do you guys got going on here? We're like, well, we're hiring, you want a job? And so you try to take those good people, because a lot of these days, a lot of guys that are good in their industry are already taken by other companies, so you want to acquire them, you know, through that. So what we did was kind of set up our office to show the part, look the part, and look better than what they have that, you know, at the time. Because nobody grows up and says, I want to be a roof cleaner, you know, nobody does that. But we try so hard to look great to customers. Why not look great to our employees, right? Because they're basically, you're putting all this stuff into the training, just a lot of money towards that employee to make your company look good. So we want to make it a good environment for them. And then you have to look the part. Okay, so here's the picture, you know. So you want to look the part. You want your office to look clean, you know, look really awesome, that people want to, you know, come work for you. And there's just the chains. And that's that Wall of Fame / Shame I was telling you about. And then that's our dispatch office. So recruiting. You want to get the word out. You want to be attractive. And present your package. So, you know, you have different packages. I know when you first get started, you're not going to have a whole employment package or anything, but you want to, you know, you want to make your business look appealing to get those people in. And then be ready to negotiate. So this is kind of like when I had my sales manager, I had to negotiate with them, you know what I mean? Because they're like, well, this and that. You got to kind of fix and negotiate with them in that aspect. But have several players in consideration. So like when we hire, especially assistant techs and lead techs, we'll have them come in. We'll probably have 10 people. Well, in the beginning, we'll probably have 20 people, but 10 people will show up, you know, and then out of that 10 people, I might pick 3 people out of the 10, maybe, if I'm lucky. But you always want to hire up. So we'll do like a skills assessment test when they come on with us. We'll make sure that they fit the part, that the business is good for them and they're good for the business type deal. So it's kind of like you're dating, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, but so you do want to hire up. Try to get people that are better than you and your company. And then player positions. There's a big difference between kill the man with a ball and football. You can always field 11 people either way, but you got to have job descriptions. You got to let people in your company know what you expect of them. So what we do is we do, you know, specific roles in our company, lead tech, assistant tech, you know, that kind of stuff. And we actually have a job description that we print out and we hand to them, as well as our employee handbook. And they got to go and they got to basically read that thing over the weekend and come back and basically take a test when they come back. But you have player positions. So everybody on the team knows exactly what they're doing to execute it. And that's why you need job descriptions. But strength training, skill development is very important. We're always training in this industry, always training. We go through a lot of assistant techs. Our lead techs, we've had our guys stay for about 4 years. But assistant techs, you know, they're doing the grunt work. They're getting paid minimum wage. They're not going to stick around. They're going to go to something better, that kind of stuff. So you're always training. and always putting that effort in your employees. And this is how we do it, through certifications, classes, events. I had my guys at the Charleston event. Good stuff, guys. Just bring your guys here, talking to other people, seeing the network. The one thing that my guys came back with was like, this is an awesome community. Everybody helps each other. That was just huge, bringing them to the events. But also apprenticeships. My guys sometimes, I haven't really done it too much, but my guys can go on other crews and stuff like that if they're down or something like that. If I got a guy that's in our neck of the woods that's like, hey, I need another man, be like, hey, go. I even helped somebody out not too long ago. They were doing a cedar roof, and they were lifting a 40-foot ladder, and it was on the UAMCC. Anyway, I went to go help them, so always good stuff. And then develop your players. So everybody in your team, you want to always, well, actually, I had a lead technician, and he had more of a sales background, if you will. He didn't do sales, but he had more of a sales background, the way he approached everything. Well, I moved him from lead technician to sales, and he was a killer sales guy. So you want to develop your players, kind of see what their traits are and stuff like that, and put them in the right place in your company. And then team meetings are huge. Must have regular team meetings. We have service meetings pretty much twice a week, and then we do one sales meeting a week. And then who are we playing next? What is the plan of attack? We always have a plan, who we're going after next, that kind of stuff, so everybody knows the overall goal. And then what are our goals? And then how do we score? How are we going to go get that bid? How are we going to go land that $150,000 contract? We go over all this stuff in our meetings and stuff. When we put it up, we have this huge whiteboard, and we'll write up on there what we want to do. And then as we execute them, we cross them off, what the project was, how we got it, and then that way we can put all our efforts towards what is working. And then cast your vision. Cast your vision on everybody in the company so everybody's going the right way. And then competition, like we talked about. Humans are driven by competition. So we set goals, we define tasks, and we reward achievements. And then we'll stick $50 in there, $100, we'll do gift cards, that kind of stuff. We can go to Costco and I can get 2 gift cards that are $100, but I buy them for $80, so that's always a plus, But pick an opponent, so what you're going after, that kind of stuff. And an enemy without an army without an enemy stands in apathy, unprepared. So that's why you always want to assign those goals and figure out what you're going after, so you know what.
Hey Pat, I apologize, but just a little louder. These guys are getting louder here.
Oh, okay.
I can't shut these doors.
Yeah. So keeping score. Teams keep score. You need a scoreboard, company reports, sales boards, production boards, contests and quotas. And without a target, everyone looks like a marksman. So again, we have that big sales board in our office right there, and my sales manager writes down what the sales were for the day and everything, so we can track all that stuff. And it actually helps their sales reps, because when they come in, they're like, oh dang, like Jody's killing me. So what does he do? He's out the door, he's going to get more sales. So I like big stuff, I like to see on the board. That way I'm more of a touchy-feely kind of guy and a vision. So this way everybody can see it. We have our business plan, we got a 13-month business plan that's 8 feet wide right when you walk into our office. So they know when the dips are, that kind of stuff. So you want to keep score. And then accountability. Leadership without accountability is anarchy. Your employees need to know when you're watching. We put cameras in our offices. We have cameras in all the offices and everything. So it's funny, I'll just every now and again I'll pull it up on my phone and be like, hey, what are you doing? That kind of stuff. And they need to know that you're watching. I'll come in some days and they want unexpected, you know what I mean? And they'll be like, they'll sort of scatter, like, oh, get back to work, Pat's here. So you need to always keep accountability. We have GPSs in all our vehicles. I could tell you multiple stories of sales reps just going home. They're like, man, this flyering and your marketing plan doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, really? So I'll pull up the GPS, and every day at noon he's going home, and he's not doing any sales, and that kind of stuff. So one day I had to go to his house. I said, open up your garage. He had buckets of flyers there. I had to get my car keys, and I had to fire him on the spot. So anyway, you got to keep that accountability and know what they're doing out in the field. And the employees need to know their responsibilities. They just got to know what you want them to do each day. The employees need to know the rules. as an owner, you cannot hold somebody accountable to the rules without having rules. So that goes back to your employee handbook, you know, have all the rules in there, dress code, all that stuff, so they know exactly what you want. And then look for keeping the honest. Oh, I'm sorry, locks are for keeping the honest. And we need to have the 10 Commandments to know what sin was, you know, that kind of stuff. So, again, just keep it on paper. And then this was hard for me, being a compassionate boss. I'm not somebody that looks for trouble, if you will, or, you know, confrontation. I'm not a real confrontation type person. But this was hard for me because people will walk over me. If you don't put your foot down, they will walk over you, unfortunately. And it happened to me, you know, last year. I'd say I kind of stepped up a little bit, but it's tough, especially with employees, you know, being that leader to them. But you got to be a compassionate leader to build a team. Don't be the hard boss. That never really works. Obviously, you have to put your foot down. You have to be firm at times, and you take those moments and make them teachable moments whenever they screw up. But there needs to be a balance between discipline and praise. And everybody's heard the expression, there's no I in team. We have all heard the saying, there's no I in team. Superstars and rule benders hurt the overall team. This is one thing I have. My office manager, she's in the middle of the sales and the service department. She was always spreading gossip from the service side to the sales side and likewise. And oh my goodness, if you get a bad apple in your company, you need to see it and let them go immediately because it never gets better. And that's what happened to us. We dipped down because of my office manager. She's in the middle, like I said, of everybody. And I had to replace her fast. But it was hard because firing somebody, you know, it's not easy for me anyway. Some people like Jim, he'll just, you're fired. So, but working together as a unit starts at the ownership level. You gotta really, you know, as an owner, you gotta kind of let go of those different things to grow your company. But there is an owner, there's a manager, a captain, to be your truck captain, and then team doesn't mean socialism. Team means a group of individuals working towards a common goal. And no team, no rest. You've always heard the expression, you wear all the hats, you know, that kind of stuff. You're out doing the quotes, you're doing the work, you know, it's just that endless cycle. So you want to, you know, I know everybody's preference is different. Excuse me. But you want to build a team so you can experience freedom. And freedom of owning your own business. Without a team, you just own a job. And humble yourself to gain entrepreneurial freedom. So by gaining that, last year I spent a lot of time with my family and stuff like that. I had two branches. I had the Charlotte branch, and then I had Greenville, South Carolina. It really tore me apart. I was up in Charlotte more than Greenville, and you know, there's only one Pat to go around, so I'm pushing the ball here, then I'm up in Charlotte pushing the ball. Well, really kind of, I didn't have any time to spend with my kids or ride my four-wheeler, you know, that kind of stuff. So I was like, I need to really do something. And we actually pulled the plug on the Charlotte branch, and we brought all the resources from there down to Greenville, and we actually just about hit $1 million last year from doing that because I was just spread out. It was a lot. It was a lot on me, but it's really good that we did that. But these are some team building resources that I found kind of worked for me. The videos right there was pretty cool. The 36 different videos helped me out with just employee management type stuff. But that's it. Do you guys have any questions on that?
I got a question. You showed the picture of that the sales board.
Yeah.
Is that sales board for residential or commercial?
It's residential.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, that's strictly residential.
Now, for residential, how's your salesperson going out?
Each territory rep.
Right.
Well, what they do is they come to the shop, right? They get the company car, and then they have a territory. So Greenville's spread up with 4 territories, and then I have my service manager or my sales manager. Mm-hmm. So he just basically makes sure those guys service those territories.
Are they knocking on doors, or are they?
They're doing everything to get business. So knocking on doors, putting door hangers, flyers. They're making contacts with different folks. You know.
So these are people that can't be afraid of confrontation.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They gotta have some gonads.
Yeah.
Do they get
Yes.
paid hourly, or do they get a commission? For
No,
the
they're
sell?
strictly commission. I do 15% commission, and the reason I do that is I did base pay plus commission, and then they sit home. And so if they're not a salesperson, they'll see the 15% and they'll go somewhere else. So I get real sales reps when I say I'm 15%, and 50% is high. You know what I mean? Some people are at 8% plus $300 a week type deal. So I do 15%, and I mean, my guys, I have one sales rep that sells 14 grand a week, and he's bringing like every 2 weeks he's $2,500 check. So
Just by door hangers and flyers, not on doors.
yeah.
Where'd you find him at?
What's that?
Where'd you find him at? Just curious.
Actually, he found me, man. He's a retired guy, and he said he had to get out of the house because his wife, you know, he works harder when he's at home. He said so. He kind of found us. So I look for those retired people now, you know, from churches and stuff like that.
He's knocking on doors.
He doesn't like to knock on doors. Actually, he's like, I don't know why, but he doesn't knock on doors. He puts out the flyers and he puts the stuff in the mailboxes, and he's got a lot of contacts. He used to be a roofer in Greenville, so he knows a lot of people. Yeah.
Hey Pat, are you letting them do all the bidding?
On residential, yes. I give them a broken down price sheet, and then the sales manager reviews them. So whenever they come back with a quote, we review all the prices, the packaging and stuff, and they can only discount a certain amount without manager approval type deal. So we do check on all that, and we call the customer and make sure that they basically set the expectations for the customer.
So how often are your sales leads going out to the same house or same area? If they get a no, are they going back a month, 2 months later to the same area?
Oh yeah, they're always in the same. Yeah, we're hitting the same area constantly, and that's how you drive the more business and stuff like that. So they have their protected territory. I only put one sales rep in that, but they have to generate the sales, or else they're out. You know what I mean, type deal. So they're going back to that area probably once a month, I would say. And more, you know, with our marketing program, they'll go and get a quote, and we'll get another quote, you know, from that job. We'll put out a yard sign, check it out, flyers, that kind of stuff. So they're constantly going back in there.
So it's not a one time, okay, let's move on to the next.
No, yeah. We're always going back. And if say we had a neighborhood that we didn't get anything in, we'll come back, you know, within 3 weeks to a month and hit it again type deal. So we try different things. Every area, we have like a lower area in Simpsonville and stuff, and they're more prone to like a door knocking type stuff. You've got to kind of shove them into it.
Mm-hmm.
But some areas we just get calls out of it.
So what's your return on marketing? Is that 1% or higher?
It all depends on which marketing we do. Like if we're doing like rockin' flyers, for instance, ours is all designed so we're getting one call per, I would say 100 flyers in our busy season. Sometimes we'll even see 90. One call per 90 flyers.
So basically, 1 out of 100 is pretty bad, not too bad at all.
No, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. 1 out of 100 is really good. And then like wintertime, December area, we're getting one call per 500 flyers type deal.
I mean, North Carolina is not during wintertime, it's almost snow season up there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we get a lot of ice and stuff like that, you know. January and February are pretty cold.
So how are you guys tracking the areas for returns?
Like going back to that area?
Yeah.
I actually have maps of all the subdivisions. So my office lady, in the wintertime, that's what we do, is we actually put maps of all the neighborhoods. So as my rep goes into a neighborhood, he'll write down the address of that neighborhood or the name of it, and then we'll go on Google and print out maps. And then we have all routes. So when we have all our flyers in our office, I don't know if you saw that one picture, I have maps on every bucket of flyers and all where we want them to go. Because you got to tell them kind of where to go. Right. Or else they'll just be driving around, they're like, I don't know where to go, you know. Yeah. So you got to tell them.
See, that's the problem I'm having is finding the salesman to go out, and most people I get are not hungry. They just, like you said, they would rather sit.
Yeah, you got to find that hungry person with, you know, with a family or a retired guy that just, you know, wants to putt around and follow your marketing, you know.
They want to follow your lead. It's like, okay, just tell me what to do and I'll go do it.
Yeah.
They want you to constantly tell them.
You got, yep.
It's like, no,
it's almost a full-time job, right? Telling them where to go each day. It's like, why don't I just do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to get somebody that can take the bull by the horns and go get you sales. You know, that's what it boils down
Pat,
to.
how much time do you got, man? When do you gotta leave?
What time is it?
2:36.
It's 2:36. Oh, I got until like 10 minutes till.
10 minutes. So you're on Q&A right now, right?
Yeah. That class went fast. Sorry about
I told
that.
you, man. It's perfect.
Man,
Question for you.
so
You gotta get off
yeah.
that stuff.
Your salespeople, they own the dirt? In other words, the territory's theirs, whatever comes in that territory, they get a commission on.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And
Even
now,
if somebody calls.
for the exception of if another rep gets a referral that's in their territory, that's
split?
no, that's just for that guy. So I just let him run it. That way, there's no, oh, he got this, he got that, none of
Share that, please.
That stuff. So definitely.
So we're on Periscope now. Anybody got a question for Pat? You got one? Go ahead. Stand up and talk really loud.
Enunciate.
Stand up.
Okay.
Look at her, guys. Look at her.
So I might have missed the conversation, but when you're saying you're paying commission to your salespeople, is that for your residential as well as recurring business?
That is for strictly all residential.
Okay.
So anything that comes in, even repeats and stuff like that, same thing.
Okay.
Like repeat customers and everything. Commercial is 10%, and that's different. I oversee all the commercial right now, and then I have my sales manager to help me with commercial.
Got another one right here, Pat.
Is this something I missed? So you said 15% plus commission?
No,
For yourself.
15% commission.
Commission.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what got you.
Anybody else? Mario?
Yeah, Pat, where do you find most of your guys? Craigslist? Where do you?
Actually, I found them on Indeed, Indeed.com. That I'm getting more qualified guys there.
And what kind of ad are you putting?
What
does the ad say?
That's a good question.
Long
You have to.
hours. I mean, what are you putting in?
Well, first thing I put, you gotta pass a background check. That weeds out 90% of the people basically. But it's the way it's written. It's kind of tough. I would have to show you if that makes sense. The ad. But
So that didn't help you at all, did it, Mario?
it's got to be specific. You know what I mean? To who? I mean, for a lead tech? Are you talking about lead technician?
Yeah, brown guy and a lead tech.
Okay, so I just put what the pay is. I'm trying to think. Got to lift over 50 pounds. That kind of stuff. And then what's in the job description itself, and then stuff like if you're here for a year, you get 3 vacation days. That kind of stuff. They want to hear that. What opportunity do they have? Start them off as assistant tech, room to improve to lead technician. That kind of stuff. If you can show me.
Got another one over here, Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat. You obviously have a lot of trucks, like 5 or 6 different trucks and crews.
Yes, sir.
How much of your operational budget do you actually set aside for marketing? In other words, is it 10%, 15%?
That's a good question.
Because as a small business service provider, a lot of my budget, operational budget, goes to marketing to get more business.
Yeah.
So I was just curious.
And actually, that's where my sales reps come in. I let them. They are basically my advertising. They go out and get the business. But for instance, last year it was 15%. That's what my budget. After break.